Now let's go ahead and do that again. So I'm going to go to my intramesh primitives, hit M, grab a cylinder, drag it out, and then drag it back. So now I got the cylinders back in there. Now if I hit W, it's going to do my gizmo. You're going to notice up here I have my gizmo activated as well. So if I hit W again, that's going to go into a transpose mode. And this is classic ZBrush transposing, probably my preferred method. But once I get more used to the gizmo, I'll probably use that more often. But anyway, this is the transpose line. And the basics of transpose are fairly similar. So you have 3 rings, and a bottom, a middle, and a top. And if you grab one of the outside rings, you can move that transpose line around. If you grab one of the bottom rings, you can, and again, it's the bottom outside. There's an inside and there's an outside. If you're grabbing the outside, you can just move those around. If you grab the middle outside, you can move the entire transpose line. Now, just like when you're using the gizmo, if you just tap on the surface, it'll just find the surface direction of that normal, like so. So if I want to push this straight in, all I got to do is tap that flat surface, and then if I'm in move mode, I can grab this middle one here and I can just move these in and out this direction. If I want to constrain it along this axis, I can hold down Shift while I move, and then it just moves in and out along that axis. If I want to change my axis, I can click on these Y and Z, and that'll just, do X, Y, and Z, and then I can hold down Shift and I can move it in this direction only, or I don't have to hold down Shift. I can just kind of move it around if I'd like. So that's the basics of the transpose line. Now, move, so if I tap W and then W again, I'm in a transpose mode. I can tap this surface here, and that finds the surface direction, and I can hold down Shift and I can move that in or out in that direction. However, if I tap that top part here to find that surface direction, and then I grab this end one here, and I just pull it towards me, it's going to move, it's going to non-uniformly scale, and you're probably going to want to hold down Shift and just constrain it in that axis. So this is a way to non-uniformly scale an object, is to go into move mode, tap the surface as an anchor, so this will be your anchor point, and you're just going to anchor that surface and just pull the rest of that surface inwards along that axis using that outside circle. If I grab this bottom one here, I can have the other part anchored, and I can just move it along that direction. So that's just an easy way, and you can actually tap that front surface here and hold down Shift, and you can non-uniformly scale it this way or non-uniformly scale it this way. Transpose lines are super, super useful. Don't be afraid of them. They're there. They're pretty useful. So if I hit W, that's move, and those are our move transpose. If I hit E, that's the scale transpose. And when I'm in transpose mode, not gizmo mode, the only thing I really do is uniformly scale. Now you're going to see I'm grabbing this outside one. You can do the inside one and the bottom one here. I guess either one's fine, but you're going to see when I uniformly scale, it wants to go away from the center of the object or towards the center of the object. And that's because by default, the transpose scale is working in world axis. What you're going to need to do is see this L sim over here. That's local symmetry. If you turn that on and then start scaling, that's going to scale locally for each object as opposed to scaling it towards or away from the world axis. So long story short, all that is if you turn this on and you tap anywhere on your object, it'll scale from that point out uniformly as opposed to scaling in towards the or away from the world axis. Just something to keep in mind. Last one is rotate. You can go up here and you can tap rotate, or you can just hit R. And because that gizmo isn't turned on, you can go in here and you can, again, tap to find your surface normal, or you can just click and drag. And if you click and drag on your object, it's going to want to snap to the object, which can come in handy if you turn on polyframe and you want to move it along this line. Instead of just tapping on that top here, you can actually go from here to here, and it'll go ahead and just snap from that vert to that vert. You can tap on here and we're in rotate mode. So I can grab this top ball here and I can rotate around that anchor point here. I can rotate this one and it'll rotate around this anchor point here, or I can rotate this one and that'll rotate kind of straight down that axis. Now if I want to rotate in that direction, what I'm going to want to do is go in here and I'm going to tap that very middle vertice, and then I'm going to grab this middle one, and now I can just rotate all day long right around that axis right down the middle. Super useful. Or, of course, I can rotate around this way as well. And if I want to push this into the object, I can go into W, hold down Shift, and just push that straight in. Or I can do a non-uniform scale and just use move to non-uniformly scale it into the object. Control drag again, and then just like the other one, you're off to the races. So 2 ways to transform is one was the gizmo, so you hit W it's going to keep this. If you hit W again, it's going to toggle that on. If you hit W again, it's going to toggle it off. All of these work the same way. E, R, just tap them twice. It'll go from gizmo mode to transpose mode. And transpose will come in handy when we get into hard edge modeling later on. But for now, you can use that or the gizmo to transpose your objects around.